Today, I'm going to talk about my travel template that I've been working on the past several months. It's heavily inspired by several Notion templates, which I will mention in the descriptions below, so you can check those out first. I'm pretty proud about the one that I made because I made a lot of adjustments to make it work for me, and there's also a lot of valuable content in the template as well. I'm also planning to give away this template for free with 2 free itineraries to Korea and Japan. By the time I post this video, hopefully I'm on my way to Korea. I actually went last year and had a time of my life, so I'm actually going again. I'm staying a little longer this time so I could spend more time with my family, but that's not what this video is going to be about. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Hannah, and I really like lifestyle vlogs, travel, and personal growth content, so if this is up your alley, feel free to subscribe and follow along with me to my journey. But I'm super excited to share with you my travel template, so let's get into my travel diary. Also, I'm actually going to freehand this tutorial this time, so I'm not going to be working off of a script, so I'm going to be doing this a little bit more organically. That way I don't sound like a robot in my last couple of videos that I recorded. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to see are the upcoming trips, and then on the left side of that you're going to see a navigation pane with a ton of pages inside, and then below that we're going to have a task list of all the things that you need to do during the trip or before the trip. After that, I have the calendar section, which I don't know if you've noticed in my other templates, but I always include a calendar view. It has a calendar view, a weekly view, and a timeline view, and I just feel like calendars are super helpful, especially to see things from like a visual perspective. I always feel like I need something visual to help plan out my things. I'm a very visual person, and this is just a really good way to like really help me map out like what I need to do next versus like trying to keep track of things I have to do in my head or like in a to-do list. And then below that is going to just be a log of any of your completed trips that you've done in the past. Okay, like I mentioned, I'm going to be going to Korea, so I did a lot of planning for this, and I actually documented it all in my travel template. Like I said, in the upcoming trip section, you're going to see the trips that you have planned out already, and what you're going to see is the dates and the duration of that, how many days left for that trip, and then the location. So if I actually click into this is what the actual template looks like and all the properties that are actually in there. So we have these dates, and then you also have the status of upcoming, complete, and on hold. So actually, I should show you this. So right now it's actually considered as upcoming, and if I actually were to hit complete, it's now going to say it's actually completed in the complete sorted pile. But since that actually didn't happen yet, place that back to upcoming. The main city that I'm going to be staying in is in Seoul, and then I actually have some neighborhoods included in here as well. Obviously the country, and then the countdown of how many days left, and then the date stamp of when you last edited. And I actually included this little back button as well because I actually really don't like going back to the actual database. I would rather actually go back to the home page. So that was just a little thing that I put in there. And then I also hit 2 properties as well, which is your task list and then your budget journal. But I'll talk more about that as we go deeper into this template. Your main page is going to have something called the travel briefing. This is pretty much going to be everything that is involved in your travel planning that rolls up into everything, and anything that you can really track in your template guide. In this box that you see right now, these are some hidden pages. That way I can help consolidate this a little better. I have task list, your packing guide, your planning area, and your budget journal. And then below that, we have the calendar that's in monthly view and then the week view. After that, this is your timeline of each day of what things you're gonna do. And this actually rolls up into the calendar itself. It's pretty much the same database. One way is just in a calendar view, the next way is just more so in a board format. That way you kind of have an idea what's coming up within that day. So I categorize this by the day starting from Sunday to Saturday. This is also a good way to visualize things, and it's also really helpful when you actually need to move things around. For example, let's just say my flight changes from Friday to like Wednesday or something like that. You can just move it to Wednesday, but you do need to change that date and then just click the date that it's going to be. And then below that, you have your neighborhoods. Each of these actually have all of the places that relates to this neighborhood, places that you want to visit, what to eat, which is all separated based on categories. So we have restaurant, cafe, cocktail bars, and then where to stay. And then after that, you're going to have a roll-up of your travel expenses. That's actually the same thing as your timeline, but this is your travel expense list that you can take a look at the very bottom of your page. And then lastly, you have your photo journal book if you want to use this as a way to keep track of some memories or want to just have some really nice pictures of your time there. But let's actually get out of this and go back home and head to the navigation bar so we could talk a little bit more about the databases in here that really helps make up the entire template. First thing we're going to talk about are the trips. I actually categorize this by all, upcoming, complete, on hold, and list view. So pretty much these are all the trips that you've ever gone on, or the ones that are going to plan, the ones that are on hold right now, etc., etc. And we sort of kind of went into the template, but I'll go ahead and actually just go deeper into what it looks like. Okay, so the template's gonna have a date. The status is gonna be set as upcoming because it's likely gonna be a new trip that you're probably creating. The cities, the countries, the countdown, the last timestamp, and then the back button. And then you also have the budget journal and then your tasks. And then something else got rolled up. Oh, your neighborhoods, I think. You're most likely gonna be doing a lot of your planning in this template itself. It's a lot easier doing it this way than doing it through the databases, but I can kind of show you like what it's going to be in here. I set the neighborhoods property as hide when empty because I don't think you're always going to be able to document like all the neighborhoods in one city. So I just hit this one in case you actually don't want to do it. It's definitely not required for this template at all, which is a good thing. It's just something to help you see what's in a specific neighborhood, like things that you want to eat or see or places that you want to stay. Below that is going to be your travel briefing with your task list, your packing guide, planning area, budget journal, then your calendar view, which is also in week view. Then you have your itinerary timeline that starts from Sunday to Saturday, your neighborhoods, places that you want to visit, what to eat, where to stay, then your overall travel expenses, and then your photo book journal. Next, I want to discuss countries. So what I have in here so far are all the countries that I've been to or a couple of the ones I want to visit. So right now they're sorted in all. You also have visited, not visited, and bucket list. And then I'm going to show you how visited, not visited, and bucket list actually rolls up into another database for any other places that you want to add to your bucket list category. Now for the template, I want to show you what this looks like. So this is going to be categorized by continent. So you can actually select whichever continent that this country is going to be in. And then any of the trips that you either planned or you're going to go on, they're actually all going to be rolled up under here. And then you also have the bucket list checklist and the visited checklist. And then I have some hidden properties as well, just to make this look a little bit more streamlined and then clean. And then in the page, I have your overall trip summary. So you can use this section to add like a little bit of a summary of what that country is. I have these two sections called places I visited and what I ate. So any places that I visited that I checked off are going to show up under the places I visited list, and then vice versa with what I ate. If I check that off, it's going to show up under what I ate. And then you can just add little images here if you'd like. And then this little box here called travel summary, I didn't create a journal page for this, but I thought maybe if you wanted to add like a journal of what you did that day or things that you want to highlight about your trip, you can click the new update button, and it's very similar to the planning area where it does provide that toggle drop down. And you can use the space to document how your trip is going, what you want to highlight, what you want to talk about. And then below that, you have a general info page of just the country itself. So you have a little section to write down what the capital is, the currency, and the language. And then the country details, it's going to be anything that's related to the country, such as the neighborhoods, the places to visit, etc., etc. And then below all of that, you're going to have your upcoming and completed trips separated from itself. That way you can see what trips are upcoming that's related to that country, and then any of the past trips that you've gone on as well. I think the one that's most filled out is probably South Korea because I've gone there in the past, so we can use this one as an example to see like what this actually looks like when it's all filled out. So the continent is going to be Asia, the neighborhoods is going to be all these neighborhoods that's there. The trips did roll up my trip from last year, and it's also including the one from this year. And I actually checked off both bucket list and visited because that was on my bucket list for quite some time, and then I also did visit it last year. And then for the trip summary, I guess I didn't write an actual summary here, but you can see how places I visited did roll up because these are the places that I did go last year, and then some of the foods that I tried did roll up in here as well. And then these images I just took off of Unsplash. It just makes the page look a lot nicer and a little bit more aesthetic, and it just gives the page more of a really nice highlight of what you did. Below trip summary, I guess I actually didn't write anything. Okay, I did not write anything in there, but here's an example of what the trip summary toggle would look like, which I actually already showed it to you in the template. And the general details, the capital is Seoul, so I wrote down. The currency is won, which I believe the exchange rate against the US dollar is 75 cents. And then the language is Korea. And the country details, like I said, all the neighborhoods that are related to a certain city are going to populate here. So I have all Seoul in here already. And I also have places to visit, places that you have documented in your travel guide. It's all going to roll up here, or any of the places that are related to South Korea is all just going to populate and roll up into like this little section. Oh wow, I actually put a lot for Korea. I didn't realize that. Okay, and then at the end, you're gonna have your upcoming and your complete. So I have that upcoming trip coming up in the next couple of weeks, and then my past trip is gonna show up in the past section. Going back to my travel diary, next we're gonna talk about cities. Cities is very similar to the country database. You have your all, visited, not visited, and just a table if you want to see things from like a table perspective. And then if we look into what this template looks like, okay, so you can type in the city, you can select the country where that city belongs in, and then the trips will actually automatically roll up. And then you can also have the bucket list and then the visited checkboxes. And then what else do I have? I have a property that's hidden. Oh, I have the neighborhoods property that's hidden because it's not really required for you to create a neighborhoods page. And then the reports card database. The template for this one's gonna be a little different compared to the country one. You have a section for your notes, and then you have your neighborhoods to visit. So things that are related to this specific city, all the neighborhoods are gonna roll up. And then places to visit, very similar. Again, anything that's related to this specific city, it's all gonna roll up here. What to eat, same thing. Where to stay. If we actually look at a real example, again, probably Seoul has the one that's probably the most filled out. You can actually see that all the neighborhoods that are related to the city, it's gonna populate. Places to visit, all that's gonna populate here again, and what to eat is also gonna be in here as well. The next thing I want to talk about is your neighborhoods database. So this one is pretty much a list of all the neighborhoods that are in a certain city. So in Seoul, there's a ton of neighborhoods that I want to try and check out because each neighborhood is going to be really different. And then Busan is very much the same thing. Tokyo is also going to be the same thing, where there's different areas that I really want to see. And Tokyo is obviously a very large city, just like any other city out there. And Osaka has the same thing. I only have these two in here right now because those are the two countries that I plan out the most. But if you look at the template again, it's going to be extremely similar to the cities one. It's going to have places to visit, what to eat, where to stay, nearby neighborhoods, and then a location map. This is actually sorted by the country itself, and I will tell you it's a little bit of a pain trying to sort this one. So for example, let's just say you add another country and you add a few cities in there. Like if you do all of those on different days, so for example, I plan one day for Colmar, France, and then the next day I do Munich, Germany. It's actually going to create things based on the day that you created. So in order to sort that manually, you're going to have to go into group and then make sure that it's sorted as manual, which the template is set this way. And all you need to do is just kind of drag things around. So if you look at me dragging things, so right now I just dragged Seoul and Busan at the bottom, and then I brought Tokyo and Osaka at the top. Now it's going to be a little easier to visualize this because now the cities are all stacked based on the country. Next, we're going to touch on budget journal. So like I said, the budget journal all rolls up into each of these travel templates. So I already filled one out for South Korea, but haven't filled one out for Japan. Actually, first, let me show you what the template looks like. So if you open this up, you're going to have your budget number where you can just put down the number here. And then the difference, this is actually just going to be that roll up of the total amount of the expense. And it's going to show you what that difference is, and then your trips that's related to. And then the same expense table from the trip template is going to be in here in the budget journal. And then below that is going to be the travel template card that this expense journal belongs to. And then in the budget journal page, you just have a list of all the trips that you've ever had. Hitting the back button, next I want to talk about the bucket list page. Now, I also think I took this from JD Design. I can't really remember, but I got really inspired by how she did this one, and I really liked how she had these little roll-ups in here. In this page, you're going to have your report cards, your countries to visit, cities to visit, and places to visit. If you scroll up again, under the report cards, you're going to have your statuses that shows how many countries you visited, how many cities you visited, and the places that you visited. This is literally a roll-up property that just calculates all the countries that you visited, the places that you've been to, the cities that you've been. That shows this really beautiful percentage and bar. So I'll actually show you how this works. So for each of these categories here, they all have bucket list and visited. So this actually shows all the countries that I've visited so far, but then these are the countries that I actually would want to visit. So Vietnam is one of the countries I'm actually visiting in my Korea trip. Template is actually going to have that report card that I mentioned earlier. So if you click under the properties page, you're going to have that report card, and it's going to say countries I visited. For countries I want to visit, it's going to be the very same thing for the cities to visit. So if we look under the template, the report card for that one's going to be city I visited, and so forth for even the places to visit. So let me click that just to double check. And if I open the properties, the report card's going to say places I visited. These are actually all automatically in the template. That way you don't have to like manually click into these or manually actually add it to your page. For example, I'm going to Vietnam as a part of a trip that's going to be in my Korea itinerary. In the properties, the bucket list checklist is already checked. And if I were to click visited and I open this up and go to countries I visit, I think previously it said something like 55.2%. Because I checked out Vietnam, now it's going to say 58.6%. And also at the same time, when we go back out of that and click visited, Vietnam is actually now going to show up under the visited section. But since I've never been there, I'm actually going to check that back. And this is a very similar thing for cities to visit, places to visit. Example, Busan, I have it listed as bucket list item. And if I were to open a property or report cards attached to, is the city I visited. So it's going to be the very similar thing. If you go into the cities I visited progress page, it's going to show you the progress that's I've made so far and then the cities that's attached to. Same thing with places I visited. It's going to show you the progress bar and then a list of the cities or places. I really love the way that this turned out, and I actually think it's such a cute way to track any of the places that you want to go to or any of your bucket list items. You can see which places you visited. And I just think this is such a fun way to like actually keep a better track of all of the places that you really want to go to and all of your bucket list items. Next is task list, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It has all the lists of things that you need to do for all of your trips, and then you also have a complete list as well. And like I said, this actually rolls back up into all of your trip cards. Under that task list, any of the tasks that are related to this trip is going to roll up under here. We're going to skip on mobile dashboard for right now. I'm going to go into the 3 databases that all roll up into each of the trip cards. So first, we're going to touch on places to visit. I filled this out literally to the T of all the trips that I've gone on. I've been using this template for a really long time, so you're probably going to see some places that are not necessarily related to Korea or Japan, but I have a huge list of stuff in here, which is pretty wild. And same thing, just like all the other databases, you have all visited, not visited, and then your bucket list. So again, referring back to our bucket list items, so any of your bucket list items will be populating here, and then your not visited ones are also going to be in here as well. And then you have your visited version and etc. I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory and pretty clear, but let's look at the template. I don't think we've done that yet. The template is going to be based on you selecting the city first, and then the country and the neighborhoods will populate along with the trips. And then you have your 2 checklist boxes here, bucket list item and visited, and your report card. It's a pretty basic template. You just have a section to write down your notes, and then your location map. You can just embed a map in here if you'd like. And let me see if I can show you an example of one that's really filled out. Just gonna click one of these ones for Seoul. So yeah, you can kind of see like what this actually looks like once it's kind of in there. And I'm also going to show you how to use all 3 of these databases and using these templates to create a plan within your trip itinerary plate. What to eat is also going to be very similar to what we've seen based on how we've been categorizing things. So we're going to have we're going to have restaurants, cafes, cocktail bars, and just a nice consolidated table view. First, I'll show you what the template is going to look like. I'm going to use restaurant for now because that's probably the one that we're going to be using the most. And so for this one, we're going to have cities, countries, neighborhoods, categories. So each of these templates are going to be categorized based on whichever one you select. Below that, we have rating. So rating is just going to be based on like what you want to rate this as, like based on how you felt about it. And then you have a checklist for dined, and then we have 3 properties that are hidden, which are trips, the neighborhoods, and then Michelin star rating. So this one here, I don't think every single restaurant that you're going to be going to is going to be a Michelin star restaurant. I'll actually show you what the rating system looks like. So it's going to be in the traditional 3, 2, or 1 star, and then the Bib Gourmand in here. And then you can write any notes in here that you want to put down. And then below that, we have the must try food list, and you can put any images of things that you've seen online, and you can just drop it in here. And then you can also list down like what that item is. And then of course, you're going to have your location where you can embed a map. I'm going to open up this one because this one actually has a Michelin star rating. This restaurant is in the Myeongdong neighborhood. My personal rating, I forgot to rate this. And then in the notes, I just wrote a general information of what this place is about. And then some of the food items that I remember seeing that we tried. Of course, the location map in here as well. Where to stay is going to be pretty similar. We can take a look at what this template looks like. It's going to have your city, your neighborhood, your class. Your class is going to be what that type of accommodation is. So it could be a resort, it could be a hotel, Airbnb, bed and breakfast, a hostel, or whatever. And then my rating, so you can kind of rate this based on like how you felt the hotel or the accommodation was. And then the star rating would be what the rating of accommodation is based on Google or hotel websites. And then under that, I have neighborhoods hidden and then the trips hidden as well. And then very similar to all the other templates, you have your notes section and then your location in here. For example, one of the hotels that we're staying at is going to be Paradise Hotel Busan. So you have your city, Busan, the neighborhood, Hyundai, class, which is a resort. My personal rating, I haven't been there yet, but I do know that this is one of the top hotels in Busan. So I just gave it a star, and then the star rating is a 5. And then below that, I just put down some general information. Of course, the overall map in here. Okay, it's actually rush hour now, and I'm going to show you how to create a page as quickly as I can before you start hearing a whole bunch of cars driving by, because it can get really loud. So we're going to start right at the upcoming trip page, and you just click the new button. The one trip that I haven't planned yet is actually Busan. So let's go ahead and just do a mock one of that. And I'm just going to make up some random dates for this. And I'm just going to select an image that really draws to me, that reminds me of Busan. So I think these houses would be a really good example. Now for the cities, I'm going to type up Busan. And then all those neighborhoods that I mentioned to you, they're all just going to roll up and populate here at the very top. And then the country is going to be South Korea. The countdown is going to be 32 days. And then the last time I edited it was the timestamp of when I edited it last, which was right now at 3:59. Below, we can just start dumping a whole bunch of tasks in here. For the packing guide, I don't think I went into depth of what the packing guide is. You just click this button, this toggle bar is going to populate, and you can just click this drop down bar, and then all of the items is all under here, and it's actually categorized by travel items, your wardrobe. You're going to have your beauty and health, your apps to download if it's applicable, and then just a section for you to document things that may not actually be on this list. Planning area, like I said, you can use this area to jot down anything that's like at the top of your head at this very moment, or if you just want to use it as like a scratch pad, for example, we can just click that button. So something that I really want to do in my Busan trip is doing the sky capsule tour. So I can just click this down button and just start looking into that. But okay, here's an example of what that sky capsule is, and I'm going to embed the link. And I can use the second space to write down things about the sky capsule. Okay, so here's some reservation information that I just want to copy and paste and put directly into my planning area. So if I just drop it like this, now it's just a lot easier for me to refer into this link versus actually trying to figure out like where exactly did I put all this information for the sky capsule tour. Okay, and then for budget journal, since we don't have one in here, we can actually create one together. And then let's just say my budget's gonna be like, I don't know, 2,000 or something like that. So since I don't have anything in the expenses yet, we can just go ahead and revisit this in a little bit. And I'm just gonna go ahead and close that. And then calendar view, since I don't have anything in my timeline, we can just start plotting things down. So I don't know if I actually showed you what are the templates that's in this timeline. I actually have quite a few. So you have your flights, your accommodation, restaurant, attraction, Uber, and drive. So for flights, I'll just open this one and show it to you. So for flights, we have it sorted by the date, then the date, the location. So this one is actually just gonna be something that you just type in yourself, or you could just link something in here. So like you can link the location, city, or whatnot. And then the trip is gonna roll up since the relation does roll up into the trip. And then here's where you can actually put down the cost of something. And because this is the flight, it's going to be categorized under transportation, which I should probably talk about the category property for each of the unique templates already created. Since this one is going to be transportation, it's going to be under transportation. And then the budget journal, this is where you're going to link that budget journal that you created earlier into this page. Now the budget journal, this is where you can actually link the budget journal directly in here, or you can actually do it at the end in the expense list. It's probably going to be a little easier doing it there instead of in the template here. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. And then what you're going to have in the details section is going to be the flight details. So you have it from your home airport, your departure, any layover information, departing airport, arrival, and then like flight IDs. So typically if you're going on multiple flights, then you're probably going to have several flight IDs for this. And then some notes in here if you want to jot that down. So let's look at accommodations, see what that one looks like. So yeah, and the accommodation details would be like your check-in time, your checkout. But just for an example, we can use the flight one, right? So I'm just gonna open this one up and choose the flight. I like to do the city actually, just because I kind of like it that way. It looks a little bit more cleaner. And then cost, we could say the flight in total was like 300. And then for the budget journal, since there's only two, you're just gonna hit Busan budget journal. Actually, instead of flight, I think I'm gonna change the name of the Seoul to Busan. Also, I don't know if you noticed that under timeline, under each day, you have a sum total at the very top. So if I add another one, and I'm not gonna update this too much, I'm just gonna update the cost. And let's just say the cost is gonna be like $25. A sum total actually rolls up into the total amount under that day. And under the expense pages, anything that you add into your timeline or just your calendar, all the cost is actually going to roll up. I think, actually, you know what? Let me see if you click in here, the budget journal. Okay, it doesn't. So the budget journal doesn't like roll up in here. So you're actually going to have to manually do that yourself. Okay, so now when we head below, we're going to have the neighborhoods, the places to visit, what to eat, and where to stay. And as I mentioned previously, all of these roll up into Busan, and they are all related to Busan itself. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is the mobile dashboard, and I created this that way it'll be a little easier for you to look at what's in your Notion page. I feel like I explained in one of my other videos that I feel like the Notion app isn't really user friendly, so I feel like making your own dashboard is going to be a little bit more helpful for you. So this is the one I created. So it has your task list and list view of what's coming up in the next 7 days, and then below that you have your upcoming trip cards, and then you have your travel calendar below that as well. So let me so yeah, this is how it appears on your mobile app, and I can actually do a walkthrough of what this is going to look like. You can look for Notion and click that. You can select which type of setting or widget that you want to choose. So click that, add the widget. Okay, so now you actually have that widget on your phone. So this is what it looks like, and I really like the way this turned out. I think the user interface is much more streamlined. For example, if I were to click into the actual Notion page, I would have to scroll down multiple times to figure out what I'm looking for. I feel like this version is just a little bit more pleasing to the eye and just a little easier for you to figure out what you're looking for. So since the main purpose of this is to create a task list, and just kind of click that button, create a task immediately. It now shows me that there is a task under there and it's related to Busan. And then below that, your gallery pages of all the upcoming trips, timeline view. That way it's a little easier for you to use this as a way to see like, okay, what are you supposed to do next? Where are you going to go after that? So yeah, I'm actually a pretty big fan of my mobile dashboard, to be honest. Like I said, I've been using this template to do so much planning, and as you can see at the very end of the page, I have so many complete trips. It's been really, really helpful for me to even use my template, and I really hope that this is useful for you. Like I said, I've reviewed so many travel Notion templates and felt really inspired to create my own, so I really hope that this is something that's really useful plan for your next trip going forward. As a gift for you guys, I'm going to include 2 templates, one with both my Korea and Japan itineraries and one that's actually blank. That way you can figure out which one actually works best for you. Always going to be for free. And yes, this is the end of my travel diary, and I really hope you get the most out of using this. Okay, my camera's actually about to die. I'll see you guys later.